Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Mark Goldberg, and you are watching Mark Vlogs Watches. Today, I will not be entertaining live stream comments. That'll be tonight on the Rebel stream. Today, we're going to answer a question in a short, focused video, and we're going to answer this question for Jeff. You too can answer me questions. Look at the banner down below. Oh, do you like the remodel? Yes, remodeled the whole house. It seems to be a little flaky. It sort of, comes and goes, but I like the new piano especially. Instagram, Chicago_dog_trainer. Follow me there. And then you can ask me questions by DM, which is exactly what Jeff did. And he said, hey, Mark, I need an honest opinion on getting a naked Hulk for $18,500. And Jeff also let me know that the watch was from a small dealer. It wasn't like private sale. Now, my initial reaction to him by DM was, yeah, sounds good if condition is good. And I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit here. But since then, Jeff, I have done a little bit of checking. And let me tell you what, it's not that good a deal. And I'll tell you why. I went on Chrono24. They have an app. Now, sometimes the prices are inflated. You really have to kind of like know the market value of that watch. But what I found was the cheapest Hulk Submariner 116610 LV. That is the beautiful but discontinued 40 millimeter Hulk with the green ceramic bezel and the sunray green dial, which I have and I dearly love. I highly recommend the watch. By the way, I've been telling you people to buy it since it had dipped to 12,000. Then it went insane, hit up to about 30. And fortunately, things are retrenching and coming back down to earth a little bit now, which personally I consider a good thing. Might be devaluing my collection a little bit, but it keeps collectors in the game and it gets rid of the speculators, which that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, back to the point. Is a naked watch a good idea in the first place? And what about a naked Hulk for $18,500? So I went on Chrono24 and I found a dealer selling the cheapest, and this is in the United States because there's a couple in China, but like, you're on your own there. But I found a couple of US dealers and one of them selling a Hulk with box and papers for $18,799. And that is what, $300 more for the box and papers. And let me tell you, let's get into the meat and potatoes of how important box and papers are. Box and papers did not used to be especially important. What we always used to say was, hey, you don't wear the box, you don't wear the papers, you wear the watch. And I have always agreed with that. And I have owned more than my share of naked, as we call it, Rolexes. But the market has changed. Collectors have become more savvy. Fakes have become better. So would I buy a naked watch Rolex today? Yeah, I might. Particularly if it wasn't something that I was intending to try and resell later, because that'll make it harder. But if it was something I loved, I would buy it naked. But it used to be on a Rolex, you wanted like a $300 to a $500 discount under market price for the lack of the box and papers. And that's not true anymore. On a Rolex, I wouldn't look at it naked. This is just me. Your mileage may vary, but I wouldn't look at it for less than $1,500 under common market value. And that deal, Jeff, that you described, it's not there. You can just spend a couple $100 more. Listen. Here are things that count other than box and papers. Condition, like that's huge. I would rather buy, for example, if my choice was a really over-polished or super chewed up Hulk, let's call it for 18.9, 18.8 with box and papers, but in terrible condition, especially the kind of condition I can't fix, over-polished, or a naked one in excellent condition. I want the naked one between those two, but I'm going to negotiate with that seller on the basis of those boxes and papers. But let's say, for whatever reason, you now have a watch in your possession. You decided to buy it, you got the deal, and you now have a watch in your possession, whether it was from eBay, authenticated or not. I don't know how much I trust that. So, but you have the watch in your hands. and I have done this, by the way. The first thing that you want to do is you want to go to the nearest AD, and this is if it's relatively current production stuff. You're going to have to go to a specialist with a 30 and older year-old watch. But with your, relatively modern or recently discontinued naked Rolex, you can go to a nearby AD and bring the watch with you, and then ask if you can get them to do an insurance appraisal. You'll have to leave the watch overnight, maybe for a couple days. They'll give you obviously a receipt for it, reflecting even the serial number of your watch. And they will, and at the end of the day, they will provide you with a written appraisal, which they are authorized and licensed to do, which you can then use as an insurance, as to insure the watch for its current and full value. It'll also establish that the watch is authentic. So if you go to resell the watch, you have some paperwork from an AD, which says this watch is worth X, and they're not going to value a fake watch. So I think that that's a really good way to go. But I'll tell you what I think is even better. And I did a whole video about this a while back, so I'll find it and I'll cut and paste. Later in the description of this video will be a link to my whole video on how to replace box and papers. But basically, here's the short version of what you can do with a naked Rolex. You can increase its value if you do the following. You take that naked watch, even if it looks like it's in nice condition. Once you've had it authenticated, by the way, then you send it to the Rolex Service Center. Why do you want to authenticate with the insurance appraisal first? Because on most sales, if you go back to the seller, whether it be eBay or Chrono or a dealer, and you go back to them, I don't know, like a week, 5 days after you purchase the watch, and you say, hey, the AD says this is a fake. If you're dealing with anybody legitimate, or if you have buyer protections, as you do through some of the major selling services, or any, reputable dealer, very unlikely a really reputable dealer going to sell you a fake, but, even they can get fooled, I guess. Anyway, you're going to have redress. You will be made whole. Your problem will be fixed. Okay. But let's say now we've got it authenticated with the insurance appraisal. That gives us a paper that's like not bad, but we can do much better than that. And that is, you send that watch to the Rolex Service Center, or you have it serviced by an authorized dealer who has an internal in-house service center. And what you're going to get are called service papers. Service papers, very important. They're not as good as the original warranty card, but service paper says, from Rolex, here's the watch, here's the serial number, here's what we did. And it absolutely establishes the watch as authentic, because unlike almost any other form of authentication, the Rolex Service Center is opening the watch, and they're going through they're just opening it, disassembling it, and cleaning it, replacing worn parts as need be and stuff. But they're in the process of authenticating it the whole time. Guys, I'm very sorry. I forgot the quick Fisk watch check, and here it is. Look at the disappearing nature. See, the remodel here is a little funny. But anyway, I'm wearing the white Omega, the great white Omega Seamaster. Anyway, you'll get back that watch with service papers from the RSC, Rolex Service Center, or from the AD's in-house Rolex authorized service department. And you'll get papers. Now, they're not going to give you a box, okay? They're going to give you a pouch, but that's better than nothing. If you really want the box, believe it or not, those are for sale. Lots of people sell them on eBay. I mean, they used to be like $100, $90 for a box. Be careful. Some of those boxes are fake too. But you can get a period correct box these days for, let's say, anywhere between $200 and $300, I would say. You should be able to get a period box. And now you've got box and service papers, which I think is excellent. That watch is no longer naked. It's not quite the same as having the watch, with its original card and box, but man, it is extremely close. Okay. Now, here's the last critical point that I want to make. If you're buying a naked watch and you're taking it in for service, or you're servicing any of your watches, no polish. You want to be very, very clear with the RSC or with the AD. You need to visually see that it's written on the work order. No polish of the watch head or of the bracelet. No polish, unless you want that. But I recommend you avoid it. A I feel like scratches are the new patina. The watches today are built in such a way as they're not going to age. So I really feel like, if you were buying a Stradivarius, do you want it like, do you want Stradivarius's actual shellac, or Chippendale's actual shellac, the hundreds of years old? Do you want that stripped off of there with a belt sander and then, modern polyurethane put over, where it used to be? The modern polyurethane is going to look better than the original finish, but it's not the original finish. And so what it does is it strips away all the value. Don't do that. Scratches are better than polish. That's my theory. However, what you want them to do is you want them to service the movement, right? So that will give you a fresh, clean start with a watch that is no longer naked. So Jeff, here's what I have to tell you. Your 18.5 naked Rolex, not such a good deal. You can get one for 18.8 on Chrono. I would keep looking. Guys, did I get it right? Let's talk to me in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so we can do this again soon. And hey, keep an eye on this channel. We do